Straight on the number 2.
Straight on the number 2. Good evening. You are live with me, Harrison, UK Colts fans, and one of our prestigious writers and now expert of UK Colts fans TV. We were just saying before we come on air, Robbie, it's good that these shows on a Tuesday because it's given us a chance to calm down after, let's be honest, for the neutral, an amazing game.
Yeah, no, I think it was all seething through yesterday, walking the dog yesterday. Tonight even, it was just a chance to kind of think, thankfully we get an extra 24 hours to kind of get a bit more settled with it. Because us as fans, we like to go one way or the other. And I think it gives us a chance just to kind of take stock of everything.
So let's start with the obvious. The Titans won. The Titans won in an absolute heavyweight fight. It was a fantastic watch. I can't complain about that. Yesterday, it felt like a painful loss. Today, I still think we're going in the right direction, if that makes sense.
Would you say it's painful? Would you say growing pains? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. This team is a young team. And, okay, granted, Carson's been around for a while, but new quarterback, regardless of Frank Reich, a new system, new players, new stadiums, new turf, everything is new. And I think it was just we saw in that game the inexperience of having a Justin Houston there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. I think it just, like we've had all season, we haven't been able to put together a proper solid 60 minutes. And I just think Frank Reich's naivety, I think it all played into the hands of the Titans. If you'd have said before the game, we'd be holding Derrick Henry to, what was it, something like 68 yards there.
Yeah.
I said, well, we're going to win that then, aren't we? And we're going to score 31 points. Well, I'd say we'd probably win that, but it is the NFL for a reason. It is the elite of the elite for a reason, and we need to start putting together 60 minutes, not just a quarter here and there.
For me, let's start with the Titans and Derrick Henry. The Colts, the run defense from everyone on that front seven was fantastic. It was a 10 out of 10 if it was rating them tonight. Was absolutely fantastic. I couldn't fault the game plan for Derrick Henry. It's just Matt Eberflus always does what Matt Eberflus does, and that's forget about Tannehill. Every time we play the Titans with Matt Eberflus, I think Tannehill rushes for about 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm guessing
it always feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But again, I'd say after scoring 31 points, if we held Derrick Henry to 68 yards, 2 interceptions, but yet Ryan Tannehill with his arm averaged 8 yards a pass. He got 265 yards on the day, and it's like we've been saying it all season. Look at Xavier Rhodes, how he just got absolutely burnt, and it's I think you hit the nail on the head with Eberflus when it comes to scheming. He just keeps getting out schemed time and time again. And our pass defense, as we've said all season, just hasn't been there.
Tom actually brings up a very good point. As much as Wentz blew it in overtime, the Tyquan Lewis recovery, then fumble, was a big turning point. We recovered the ball. I don't understand where the officials got the Titans recovered it from. I watched the replay, and somebody with white gloves with red trim picks up that ball. Not a single Titans player had a glove with white with red trim.
Yeah, but
I don't get it.
The refs, officials, whatever you want to call them, they had a shit day. No, a shit day. Like I was listening to Kevin Bowen Monday morning, and he said that team of officials have thrown most flags throughout the whole teams of the NFL.
And it wasn't even just them being official from the point that we lost. They also gave us a couple of phantom calls. I was like, Jesus.
Just random, and like 1 minute something's an offensive holding.
Yeah.
The next play it isn't. And there was no consistency through that whatsoever. And part of the NFL, we absolutely love it. But when you get games like that are ruined by the officials, and what makes it worse, CBS, they quite clearly see it, but they just weren't calling it. And that's what really ruins games for me. That's what really ruins the whole event. And when you've got to sit through 3.5 hours of it, it just really makes it hard to chew on. But Tom, there's 2 or 3 just massive plays that if it had gone the other way, we'd be saying, well, we're going to be winning the South. We're on to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody gets Tyquan Lewis is a big guy, he got a decent interception, quite athletic for his size, and then he's going for the return and blows his ACL. I don't put that on him. I wouldn't be able to keep hold of the ball if I put in my ACL.
No, I don't think you can have that on him.
No, I couldn't even get an interception. No.
Exactly. When you blow out your knee, these things that if he'd have held it onto the ball, put his name up in the rafters, retire his jersey.
Yeah,
because that sort of thing. These are human beings in the day. But yeah, I just worry now for obviously with the trade deadline coming up and everything else we've got to deal with this season now.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So let's start with the bad in the game. For those watching, and mainly Tom, because Tom's always watching, we're not actually rating individual players or units. It's just going to be breaking down the good, the bad, and the even worse. So to start with the obvious bad stuff, I mean, I like the accountability from Frank Reich, but this is real life. It's not Madden. Why are you calling a play action fake screen, whatever you want to call it, in your own end zone when you know Carson Wentz likes to hold the ball?
But are you not getting bored of we shouldn't have done that, we shouldn't have called it there, but we'll do better next time? Well, no, because I'd say literally I'd say he had a great game until 5 minutes towards the end of the second quarter.
It's a running thing.
The way that second quarter finished, the way that first half finished, it was just I think I put in the group chat, there was time there we could have really just gone through the field and got an extra 3 points, or even really kind of gambled, but it was like a fart in a thunderstorm towards the end of that the end of that first half, and and then obviously we know what happened, and looking at Wentz's stats is embarrassing. 27 on 51 targets. He threw the ball 51 times. I just don't get it. When we weren't massively behind.
No.
We weren't really behind at all until the end. So we didn't need to force the issue down the field. Jonathan Taylor in the second half, I think, had 2 carries in the second half. He had 16 carries on the game. Naeem Hines had 1 carry on the game. And we've said it for the last 4 weeks, how we don't understand the running backs. And for me, this loss falls on the shoulders of Reich. And there's only a certain amount of times that he can keep saying he's going to learn from it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would be happy to put this loss on Fleece. I would. But Frank Reich's not even head coach, sort of take a step back head coach. He's actively admitted plenty of times he's never handed over play calling.
Yeah.
So that's on him as well to say to Matt Eberflus, you've got to hold your own staff accountable and say, they're picking up 8 yards every throw. Stop it.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely embarrassing. When you kind of look at it from just the whole coaching standpoint is just for me has been underwhelming, and the stage they're at now. I put a thing out on Twitter. Lawrence, your guy, Colts Law, great guy. He's really kind of coming into his own, I feel. And he kind of put about Frank Reich, and I commented it comes to a point where Frank Reich can call a play. Obviously, he'll give Wentz 2 or 3 plays, but the players on the field have to also take accountability for that first and 10, Wentz tried to pump fake, held onto the ball too long, which he was doing at the beginning of the season, which there's going to be massive pressure coming down on you.
Mm-hmm.
And, but that's where their communication has to be better. The difference between Carson Wentz and a fully elite quarterback is that, Peyton Manning would have changed it. Aaron Rodgers would have changed it. Ben Roethlisberger would have changed it. Tom Brady would have changed it, because they're the elite kind of echelon.
Mm-hmm.
Where obviously Carson Wentz isn't quite there yet. And so there's got to be some sort of accountability. We don't know how often Wentz checks out of run plays or checks out of pass plays. Yeah. Obviously, we're not privy to that, but there's got to be a little bit of ownership as well with those leaders on the field.
Yeah. And just like, I know you read my thread on Twitter. If Peyton Manning's made mistakes, that's lost his big games. Yeah. Andrew Luck, Philip Rivers, every quarterback does it. What I can't take is the same mistakes from the same coaching staff year in, year out. And I can't remember if I put it in the group or it was on Twitter or to you privately or something. But to bring this to soccer terms, this is like Arsenal under Arsene Wenger. Yeah, we play 85 minutes of great football every game, but we still lose 3-1.
Yeah, towards the end of the series. Yeah, no, I get that. And it's that elite mentality, that stepping on someone's neck and really kind of finishing the game.
Like
which we're lacking. But there was a few ugly bits. But if we take the positive, that first quarter, sensational.
Yeah.
If we take Jonathan Taylor's running, if we take Michael Pittman, again, obviously he didn't get his 100-yard game, but he still got 10 receptions, and that was with Wentz that probably wasn't as accurate as he probably should be. The biggest positive of the season, Jack Doyle getting a touchdown.
Yeah. Fantastic. What I noticed about that play as well, they did a run play out of the exact same formation and play, which worked. And then they've obviously called a similar play or the same play. Carson's checked it to a play action, and it worked perfectly. That we saw in that first quarter what this team can do. It is flawless when it's going. It's just
stepping on that throat and executing and killing a game off.
And I can't say I've seen a Colts coach maybe since Bruce Arians stepped in for a couple of games, when Chuck was off, who was that ruthless. Maybe back to Tony Dungy's days. There was no one, but he had the better team around him. Tom brings up a good point. Our record versus team was with a,
was it? I think it's like 3 out of 9 games or something like that now.
You look at them. I don't buy that. Winning record, losing record. If we're playing a team that's 1-0 and we're 0-1 and we lose to the Rams, is that a team with a winning record or
no? I saw a stat about playoff teams. It was.
Yeah.
I think we won 2 out of the last 9 games against playoff teams. We're going to go and beat the Jets on Thursday night, Friday morning. We'll beat the teams that we're supposed to beat, and it's taking it to that next. Everyone taking that next step. But if we look at Bobby Okereke, if we look at Kenny Moore, these guys played awesome.
Yeah.
It was just a few individual errors, like Xavier Rhodes, as I said at the start. The last couple of weeks, I'm really kind of questioning what he's doing. Yes, he had the interception last week, but still,
he just seems lost. I don't know if that's coaching, player regression. He's got a bit older. Players can regress as they get older. It does something in the locker room, but there's a few guys out there who just seem lost.
DeForest Buckner's got to be in that for what he gets paid.
Yeah. I sort of feel DeForest Buckner is carrying that line by himself at the minute.
Grover definitely outplayed him.
Grover's, I feel like it was a breakout game for Grover on Sunday. That was the first time I probably stood up and noticed Grover.
Yeah.
But that's what Al-Qadim, Mohammed, Grover Stewart, that's what they thrive in the run game. The Titans didn't learn from that.
Even through scheme, isn't it? He schemes a good run game, but against the pass, it's just.
Yeah. But like you said, let's the ugly was just the play calling.
And Wentz moved I think he said. I think before he came on, Wentz, yes, he threw that silly interception on the screen. Then he took that team the length of the field and scored a touchdown. It was some nice plays by Pittman, but he had that drive, which we haven't seen from him yet. We haven't seen that end-to-end drive, which it's like, okay, we can do this. And we've seen it time and time again when it comes to overtime, people's mentality shifts and changes, and it wasn't what it was. But the fact that Wentz took us down the field like that, absolutely.
And then the touchdown on that drive, Carson Wentz back in the shotgun, walks out to make it a wild card, and then it's a mini RPO between Taylor and Hines, and it was fantastic. It was what Frank Reich's getting paid to do. But this is my problem with Frank Reich. When you tell a quarterback like Carson Wentz, the game plan is we're gonna attack the secondary as hard as we can. For whatever reason, you're throwing 51 times. First of all, that's a lot of wear and tear on a quarterback's arm. Even if you just stand there in one spot and throw a ball every 10 seconds, 51 times, it's going to hurt your arm.
And let's not forget, he was targeting Ashton Dulin.
Yeah.
In some key moments, Carson Wentz, his throwing was a little bit erratic at times. Some wild throws. If it hit Ashton Dulin in his numbers, or at least near there, we'd have probably had another touchdown there. So, but again, we had Andrew Luck, who was amazing. But if you actually look at him, Andrew Luck took us on some great, beautiful drives. But there was a time where his accuracy wasn't quite there, and even a Peyton Manning, there's times where his actually wasn't there.
Yeah.
But again, why are you going to the likes of Granson and Dulin when it's on the game, like game's on the line? Let's go to Hines, let's go to Taylor, let's go to Pascal, let's go to Pittman,
and
let's actually throw to Mo Ali Cox so he can catch the ball.
Yeah. For me, when you go with that aggression in such a high intensity game, and then it goes into overtime, and I don't know why we chose to receive in overtime. I thought that was the wrong decision. Derrick Henry obviously wasn't playing to the best he can, and we probably could have got a stop. It's hard when you're up here, as anyone, who has seen an explosion knows it. When you are up here as a person, you can't come down here. You can't come back down and go, right, reset. It's pretty much the first quarter again.
Yeah.
Do I blame Carson Wentz for throwing that interception? Yeah, he had 3 checkdowns. But also, because of the game and whatever's on the line, he's up here.
It's not Madden. It's not Madden, is it? It's these are human reactions.
Yeah.
But that's where it takes experience, and when you're putting that much kind of interest into someone, they do need to. That's where they added money. That's where they execute. But if Carson Wentz hasn't been in that position for such a long time, so hopefully next time when we're there, we've got that experience of it. Again, looking on another positive, because I'm trying to stay positive. Derrick Henry's out for a couple of weeks.
I thought it was season ending.
No, he's not. He's not out for forever. Hold on, typing the schedule. I think he's out for up to 4 weeks. So they've got the Rams, Saints, Texans, Patriots. So they might only win one of that. And if again, clutching at massive straws here, if they win one of them 3 and we go on a run, this ain't over yet. Or am I just being totally naive?
This was my question to you. Is obviously we've been 1-5 at a point when we all thought we was going to win the Super Bowl. we was 1-5, went on a mad run, and it just ended in the playoffs, unfortunately. But we're now 2-5. I think
3-5.
3-5. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is this 3-5 team better than that 1-5 team?
I wouldn't say so. I think it's got some good parts.
And that's my worry is we have a better record, but we don't look like a better team. And for me, when it's that stagnant for that long, you can't keep blaming the players. How long do you want to blame the players?
No, there was definitely something on it. No, we've said it for a long time now.
Yeah.
The whole play calling just doesn't seem to be any rationale behind it. It doesn't seem to be much. It's not clear enough. Why extend Naheem Hines on a massive contract and then
not give him the snaps?
Not give him the snaps at a running back. He's getting 2 or 3 catches a game, but he had 1 snap on Sunday.
I think there was times in that game as well. You go for an air raid attack, and Naheem Hines is wide receiver 4. For me, Frank Reich's just got to check out. He's got to not be stubborn. He's got to say, T.Y. Hilton's out. My best receiver at the minute is Mike Pittman. Zach Pascal's gone a bit off a cliff. Ashton Dielen's a special teamer. Hines is a running back. Let's get Doyle in. Let's get Ali Cox in. Let's get Granson in. And let's run the ball down the throat. Because they weren't stopping the run.
No.
And
it just doesn't. There's obviously some analytics or some statistician there in his ear saying, "Don't run it here, don't run it here, don't run it here." But Carson Wentz averaged 4.5 yards a play. Jonathan Taylor was 4.4 on the ground. So it doesn't make, like, for me, it doesn't make sense to keep throwing it.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm nothing but a fan.
So we got the Jets, Jags, and the Bills. So it all goes back to if we can beat a team with a winning record, playoff team.
Mate, Bills are looking trash.
So are the Chiefs. So the AFC is a weird division this year. Or conference, whatever they call it.
Yep, same thing.
Yeah. We could get... I feel like we could be a 10-win team and still get a wild card spot.
Yeah. Hold on. So we are currently... Well, we're behind Denver, Cleveland, Kansas, New England, Chargers, Steelers. We're 1 win away from them. So, if we can put 2 or 3 wins together, we are back in the playoff picture. Do we want to be in the playoffs with this team? I think with a bit more consistency, we can show up. We've had spells, take the Ravens game, take the fourth quarter out. That's a win. Yeah. One thing I did want to mention, obviously, when we come on to Carson Wentz, like a bit more, against the 49ers, I think we both mentioned it, how his throwing, if the 49ers had some decent cornerbacks that could catch a ball, there'd have probably been 2 or 3 interceptions there.
Yeah.
And for me, because he's found a bit of a range with like a Pittman, maybe he needs to be reined in just a little bit of, let's just sometimes just take what you've been given. Take the 8 yards, take the 10 yards, take the 4 yards. Doesn't always have to be that big over the top.
No. And I mean, let's talk about Carson Wentz, because the media was happy to slaughter him.
Yeah, they were all going to.
Colin Cowherd, who I don't pay a single bit of attention to because he's a trash reporter.
Yeah, this is clickbait. That's what it is.
He came out with this bollocks article about how the Colts building is split on Carson Wentz. If Chris Ballard was willing to give up a first and a second, he's not split on anyone. He believes in him.
But the only way they can be split is if Jim Irsay thinks one thing and Ballard thinks the other.
Yeah.
Which, they're both entitled to have their own opinion, but Chris Ballard's paid to do the job, so Jim Irsay's going to let him do it, so there can't be a split in it.
And I don't think it was a bad game from Carson Wentz. Just we don't need to be throwing the ball 50 times when we got probably one of the best run blocking O lines.
But we said that the first 4 weeks, the playbook just wasn't, Carson was holding the ball too long. It was too vanilla. Whereas, play to his strengths, quick releases, and you play quick release. That's why Tom Brady has done so well for so long. That's why Ben Roethlisberger. I know he did. Ben Roethlisberger loved his 6, 7, 8 step drop every now and again, but majority of his plays were straight out of the hand.
Yeah,
because that's what the elites do, and that's how you get longevity. And if we want a quarterback to have a bit of a stretch and a bit of a run, which we've needed that consistency there, and then we've got to look after him. And Frank's the man that can look after him.
Of course he can. Let's hope. I do trust Frank Reich.
Someone's got to.
I don't think we're a bad unit. I don't think our season's dead. Everyone on Twitter is willing to call the season dead.
No, not yet.
It's like, chill out. Just chill out.
If we can get to 10 wins,
it'd
be 10-7. I'm all right with that.
Yeah. And
especially the way the season started, especially with the off-season issues. But then what we wanted this year to be will have to be next year. They have to make that step.
Mm-hmm. What I will say to you is, do you think it come back to bite us trying to start fast? Should we have rested Nelson and Carson and Darius?
The first few weeks. Yeah. Hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Yeah. I think you've got to, if they're available to you, you've got to play them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they had to. Especially like before you kind of take into the results, I think they had to.
Yeah.
I think Darius, he needed that kind of step up in. I don't think he's a guy that would have rested. I think he needed them reps to kind of get up the game speed.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope with the trade deadline, I hope we get something in the backfield. I hope we do take a corner or a safety, someone that can just add. We just need more decent bodies back there. I think Sandeo played every single snap on defense, and that was
Sandeo has been a great step in.
Yeah, but he's not that elite, is he? We haven't heard out about Kari Willis yet, have we? We don't know if he's going to be fit going into Thursday.
Yeah.
And not having Kari Willis and Blackman.
I think Blackman's the big loss, and he was who I was excited about anyway. But the number one turnover defense in the league.
Yeah.
You know what they say? Defense wins your championships. If we do buy a ticket to the raffle, we can beat teams. Like people, there's this, Tom brought it up because it is the conversation street on Twitter at the minute with Colts fans is we can't beat winning teams. We can beat winning teams or playoff teams. We just don't beat them in the games that matter. You've got to keep believing. Otherwise, what's the point of watching the rest of the season?
No, I do get that. No, I do. We'll be here as frustrated fans, but there is so even a game like that, like so many positives, but I just maybe they don't. There's that thing of analysis by paralysis. Sorry, paralysis by analysis.
Yeah,
and. Do you think it's a case of there's too much information going into Frank Reich and calling those plays, calling like the whole game management, the time management? I just think it's a little bit too much perhaps. And head coaches are head coaches for a reason. Yes, I know there's many that do play calls, but something doesn't seem right there.
Yeah. We'll wrap up about the game now because I want to talk about the trade talk around the Colts.
Yeah.
For me, Frank Reich has to be the bigger man here and say, maybe I do need some help play calling. Maybe I do need some help time management, because let's not forget his bag of tricks is offense, and I understand, coaches come up through either offense or defense, and however you want to discuss it. But Mike Vrabel sort of knew that if he just stuck with the Colts, Frank Reich would give the game away.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And also to the Titans, we talked about it last week, Robbie. If the Titans weren't careful with how they use Derrick Henry, we're talking Andrew Luck Mark II.
Yeah.
And for the first time in a long time, Derrick Henry looked like a human again.
Yeah, I think it was Kenny Moore that actually put him on his ass, flipped him over his head.
Yeah. I mean,
I just brought it up. Yeah. He's actually gone for a operation on his foot, so it could be season ending.
Yeah.
But they have gone and got Adrian Peterson, who I fucking hate with a passion.
I mean, yeah.
Just for his off-field stuff.
As much as that sounds like a great signing as well, like that's like us just going getting
any old schmuck.
Richard Sherman. Do you know what I mean? Okay, it was great 6 years ago, but what about now?
Yeah, no. He won't. Adrian Peterson won't take the beating Derrick Henry did because he can't. No. Derrick Henry become a dual threat, which he certainly don't. Everyone knows Adrian Peterson can't catch. That's one of the reasons with the Vikings. I think it was, every time he come on the field, they knew he was going to run, so they put on a run package.
Yeah.
So no, this could be, we even said last week, the only way you can stop him if he's getting injured, and we both said, we wouldn't want that happening because, as fans of the sport and as good human beings, you don't want to ever see anyone get injured.
No.
But this has now been played into our hands, and we need to make full adjustments of it.
I mean, yeah. So
Ryan Tannehill's not taking them to the promised land.
Let's hope it could have been they've won the battle, but we win the war. Let's hope.
Nicely put.
Yeah.
I like that. That's ended on a little positive there for the game, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, no, I'm going to stay positive. I'm not going to.
Okay, so looking at the trade, obviously, Devonta Parker is the big name getting banded about.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything been talked about what we'd give up for him.
No, I haven't seen any of that, but I heard Michael Strahan from the preseason. Strachan. Apparently, he's not getting any game time or even suited up because his playbook isn't very good. Apparently, he doesn't understand the routes. He doesn't understand the kind of elite plays. I've heard that from a couple of bits, which is a bit worrying because he's a wide receiver. It's a case of you run forward or left or right, or you hold someone. It's not really, it's not like a tight end where he's got to read the defenses. It's not like, he's really
as a wide receiver, you learn your route, and that's it.
And obviously, with Paris Campbell going down, T.Y. Hilton, I'd say, going into concussion, but I couldn't imagine seeing him many times this season now.
I'm gutted for T.Y. Just gutted.
Yeah, you don't want to go out like that, do you?
No. And we can't afford to have him next year, so.
No, and we do need help in the wide receiver. So, as long as he's not giving away anything more than a sixth, the times I've seen Parker, he's either looked really good or looked trash. I mean, I'm talking handling issues, I'm talking catching issues, I'm talking attitude. But
for me, it doesn't make sense when he's just another Zach Pascal. I know he's a free agent, but Golden Tate talked about wanting to play for the Colts, and I would see Golden Tate on a little bit of the upgrade of Zach Pascal for a year. Not saying as a solution, but for a year.
Whatever doesn't cost us going down the line.
Yeah, and
Parker's been in the league for 6-7 years, I think it is now.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, T.Y.'s and normally, but you don't really get them playing too much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to be a 1 year stopgap. But it's just the situation. I mean, it's next man up, but we haven't got many men left to put in there.
A wounded horse. But
yeah, so I wouldn't want to see much given away for Parker. I don't think he's worth that.
No. And Tom's nicely segued us.
Yeah, he was next on the list.
Ballard's still trying to trade Matt, but wants a player in return and not a draft. Now that is interesting. We know Ballard loves his draft pick and will do anything to recoup him. So that is interesting. I mean,
Mac played one snap, and I guess that was because they wanted to trade him. They didn't want him getting hurt this week. Mac hasn't shown anything on the field this season whatsoever. So I'll be surprised if they get much, if anything, for him. And we can't afford to give him away when we're down to 3 running backs.
Well, what would be 2, yeah. But it's just weird that you would announce publicly that you're looking to trade Mark or both of them, has agreed to trade or whatever. And then, I mean, you don't have to put the guy in the doghouse, but you certainly have to prioritize Taylor and Hines.
Taylor's the future and Hines is the big money.
Yeah. We need more depth. Funny enough, we had a safety. We just decided not to keep him because injury problems. Look where that's got us this year.
I think I said, we do need some help back there. We need just a stopgap, just something, sometimes just a new face in there.
Yeah.
There's someone that hasn't been in the building that says, oh, well, you guys have been doing this. And sometimes it just takes a different set of eyes that hasn't been in the camp to really kind of show them what's been going on. I think I said last week, we did it with Mike Mitchell, the Steelers safety a few years ago. He came in for the end of the season and was fantastic. So hopefully something like that does happen. But what do you think we can get for Mac? I can't imagine it being much.
Running backs are not high trade value, unfortunately. Every team's set on the running back. For me, teams are not scared to throw at the Colts. Any interceptions we do get seem to be in the middle of the park plays. I feel like we go full Rams here, maybe give up quite a bit and get a 26, 27-year-old big name safety secondary cornerback who teams are scared to throw at.
It made me laugh seeing the Rams. I saw something today. Since they took Goff in the first round, they're just trying to give away their picks so they don't make that mistake again. They don't have any picks for next year, do they? I think they might have a 6th or a 7th left.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's it. Like, wow. But it's a new way to do it.
That's their way to do it. And it works for them. It works for them.
Just because something's been done for a long time doesn't mean it will always work. And, they might be the poster child for a couple of years of how to do it. Just, because round 4, 5, and 6, you're really just taking a punt on people.
Yeah, well, we know Stan Kroenke likes to spend more money on them than he does Arsenal, but I won't get bitter. And I mean, that's sort of, we need help, and this is where we need Chris Ballard to prove he is an elite GM, rated number 1 by all the other GMs last year.
Yeah,
he needs to prove that now and work some magic.
Didn't our friend Grigson get that once as well, though, when he took Luck and Hilton, and then the rest of his career was absolute dog shit?
I think my unborn child, who is, only about 21 weeks developed so far, could have picked Luck and T.Y. Hilton.
You expected?
Yeah.
Oh, mate. That's a little breaking news.
Breaking news. Yeah. I
expect he or she to be called Carson.
A he.
Even better.
I know. No, I can't get any Colts names across yet. Wasn't a fan of Peyton.
Do you know how I did it?
How?
Wait until they're on the table, drugged up.
That's what she wanted to call it. Sure, yeah. But, you know, saying Grigson got rated number 1 because he took 2 obvious studs, you know, is just disgusting. But
Low hanging fruit or what?
on to my last sort of point to wrap this up, and it is a negative one, is the fans in Lucas Oil Stadium, not all of them, but the ones I saw on TV or most of them were fucking dreadful.
Do you know what our home record is this year?
I don't even want to know.
1-3.
It's not good enough.
You know, you need to win. The whole idea is you win your home games, win half your away games, and you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's do you know, watching it on telly is horrendous with that light that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be fun. It can't be any good to play in with the kind of shadows and the sun. But it is what it is. You know, they're not the most loud fans in the world.
Well, it's not even. Well, I'm an Arsenal fan. I know about quiet fans. It's not about being loud, but it doesn't. A stadium like that built the way it is, should feel like an absolute cauldron.
Mm.
Opposing teams should feel claustrophobic. And at the minute, you know, you got 3rd and 16, arguably, for the game, and Tannehill's backed up. Got some guy just going, eating his food. Like, if you don't want to be there, give your ticket to someone else. Stop being a miserable bastard and get off your feet. The first game against yeah, it was, but
that was the first game really post-COVID and post like a little bit more normality, you know, and it was always going to be a bit loud. And yeah, they've got to be the 54th man or whatever it is.
To just not even. I mean, I get it if you're older or you might not be able to stand all the time, but just not to like make noise on a 3rd down for the game. I've got to put that on the fans. Like, you've got to be better.
So, Jets this week.
Yeah.
Win. I can't see Joe Flacco.
It's what scares me, mate. That scares me is Joe Flacco was a very good quarterback. Like, people seem to forget that he was a good quarterback. You know, and I'm scared that we're going to go in. Matt Eberfleet is going to go in thinking, this is an easy win.
Well, he can't run. Flacco cannot run. So, you know, he's not going to be getting out of the pocket much.
Well, since that bad QB hit against the Browns, I think I want to say, he probably doesn't want to run ever again. But I need a big game from Quitty and Deo. That's what I need. But you know, this front four needs to really show up this game.
Yeah, it's just you know, we had, what was it, 3? I think we had 3 sacks.
Which were coverage sacks more than anything.
Yeah, but for me, you know, why is nobody talking about Bobby Okereke, Bobby O? Why is no one talking about him?
I'm sorry. We'll beat the Jets, no worries, because that's
beat the bad teams.
Yeah.
But why is no one talking about Bobby O? Like the last 3 weeks, he's really come into his own.
I thought it was going to be Leonard versus Henry. Bobby Okereke didn't let that happen.
Kenny Moore didn't let it, like, absolutely hammered him.
And this is what's the frustrating thing is. The run defense was phenomenal. It was the best run defense I've seen from the Colts in a very long time. And that's not like Matt Eberfleet. So I was like, okay, you've schemed amazing for Derrick Henry. But then you give up 13 yards on a 3rd and 19.
No, like every single game, there seems to be a random wide receiver that gets 100 yards against us.
AJ Brown?
I'm just looking at the Jets roster, right? Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Jameson Crowder, and Braxton Berrios. Their running backs, Michael Carter, Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson. If we can't beat this, like, we have to be able to stop that offense. Like,
yeah,
surely. Like,
Yeah,
whether it's Mike White, whether it's obviously Zach Wilson's out, if it's Joe Flacco, we are a much better team than that.
Oh, do you want to hear some breaking news?
Yeah.
Former Chargers and Colts quarterback Philip Rivers told LA Times Farmer that he would listen to the Saints if they were to reach out to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Big Daddy Phil.
Well, Jameis Winston isn't doing it for them.
No. Was Jameis Winston ever going to do it for him?
No. Eating them W's.
Rocky Cinderella. I never thought I'd say that.
Not after last year, I don't think we would. I think we said in the offseason, if you stop these stupid flags, and he has, but, it takes it as a unit, and they're not a unit, are they?
No. And, yeah, that's it. I think you summed it up there. They're not a unit.
So we've got the Jets, Jaguars, Bills, Bucks, Texans, Patriots, Cardinals, Raiders, and Jaguars. We're
10-9.
You've had it here first.
I'll keep going. I'll get it right one week.
Yeah, but Twitter is in meltdown for the Colts, and I'm looking forward to seeing any transactions tonight.
I don't think we'll see any.
It's not in. There's not much history about us taking any big transfers.
It's not Chris Ballard.
But do we have enough enough wide receivers at the moment? And obviously, if we trade Mac, then what happens at the running back depth? And there's a lot of questions, isn't there, when we're 8 weeks into the season?
Yeah.
It's it's a weird one.
Yeah, I think it just sums it up. I think what Colts fans need to remember is you can disagree with somebody and not be wrong. I see Colts fans going at each other on Twitter, this, and it's like, guys, just chill out. Why are you that bothered? It's a game. As much as it's going to piss everyone off, it's a game.
Do you know what? Obviously, being a West Ham fan, just to digress quickly, we're doing really well this year. Obviously, my season ticket holder, so I'm absolutely loving it. But we don't take ourselves seriously. David Moyes, he knows we're in such a, every single player and one of the coaching staff, they all know that they're at this privileged position.
Yeah.
And that's really helped. Whereas I think with the Colts, maybe they're just, something's not quite right. Just chill out. It will happen. We've got the players, and I'm, Jets, we're not going to learn much from that at all.
No.
But when we're coming up, the Texans,
the Bills is going to be the teller for me.
Yeah, and hopefully it's a game where there's loads of snow and it's happy days, and we can just stop them throwing.
Yeah, I don't get the meltdown. Right, and it's funny, innit?
I think we had a meltdown on Sunday night, but I think that's just in the heat of the moment.
I had a good rant. I had a very good rant, but I love it. When Carson Wentz has played well for 8 games, and everyone's saying, "Well, he's not truly elite." Well, no fucking shit. The only truly elite quarterbacks that I've ever seen is Peyton Manning and Tom Brady.
And we sat here last week, and we'd be fucking hypocrites if we went totally against Wentz, because I think we both agreed last week that the trajectory that Wentz has taken, he's improved every week, and I think this week was just a stumbling block, and it's not to any success. It's not a straight road to success.
Yeah, we said it wasn't going to be perfect, and it wasn't even as if Carson Wentz was horrendous in that game. It was just made the wrong calls sometimes.
It's that what we've had all year is that lack of consistency through the 60 minutes, which That's why the coaches are there, and I think the seats must be warming up. There must be a few coaches that are kind of worried for their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Irsay come out a couple of weeks and said we're going to get 2 Lombardis for the next 10 years.
3, but never mind.
Shit me, 3. So we've already lost 1 year. So we've got 9 years. So that's 1 every other year.
It's not over yet. Well, yeah. We're winning the Super Bowl this year, so that's 1.
I think we should give someone else a turn this year, then we'll win next year.
All I'm going to say is, Philadelphia, when Carson Wentz carried them to the Super Bowl and Nick Foles, Nick Foles got the statue. Nick Foles was meant to be the big MVP star who, was the famous and very talented quarterback. But he couldn't even win the job off fucking Mitch Trubisky. So, people like to say Carson Wentz is a bad quarterback or not truly elite or not at that level. Okay, I don't expect it from him. It wasn't fair of Frank Reich, to be hypocritical and say we don't expect Carson Wentz to play Superman football and then make him throw 51 times.
No, but we've got loads to be excited about, mate. Loads to be excited.
This time last year, I never thought I'd be passionate about Carson Wentz.
No. I'm sat here in a Wentz jersey for the life of me. Like, what's going on? There's been so much good.
We're going up. It's taken longer than we thought.
But that's life.
Yeah.
And especially I don't watch college football whatsoever, but there's a lot of people saying, why give away the first round draft pick? Let's go get quarterback in the draft. But all the draft experts are saying there isn't a QB worth shit in this next draft.
There isn't. There rarely is. QBs just get thrown up the board because
they're quarterbacks and
they're high value. If the game wasn't played on if the middle linebacker was the QB or the Mike linebacker, whatever you want to call it, then they would be going first all the time. It's just the way the world works. And, it's like the same for last year's draft. People saying, why didn't we trade up for a QB? Because there wasn't worth one for fucking shit's take. The Jags were never going to trade as the number 1 pick.
Give me Carson Wentz over Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
The way it looks at the moment, I'm more than happy with Wentz over. To be fair, I'm more than happy with Wentz over probably half the quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big advocate for Sam Darnold over Carson Wentz.
Yeah, so was I.
But look, he
might not have a job by the end of this month.
No. I was a big advocate for maybe going for a blockbuster trade to get. I know it's not Madden and I know it never would have happened, but go and get him Baker Mayfield. And look, he's not working out.
Yeah.
It's a funny old world, the NFL.
The AFC South at the moment is shit, and we're very lucky with that.
Yeah,
Stafford.
But
so the Jaguars are going to be shit for a few years.
Yeah.
The Texans have got a rapist.
For a few.
Yeah, Texans haven't got a quarterback, and
I just heard what you said.
But the Texans have got. You can't say there's a single it wasn't like, oh, we're going to play Texans. We've got JJ Watt to play.
Yeah.
So we're okay there. The Titans now don't have their weapon.
Their one weapon.
And so hopefully that plays into our hands and we can exploit it.
Hopefully.
Because I'd love to see this team in the playoffs. Just because when we show up, we do show up. There's just been a lack of consistency. But over the next few weeks, we're going to through November, we'll learn what we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll either be really happy or we'll be sat here just asking for Flus to be sacked again.
I'll always be sat here asking for Flus to be sacked. But to end, I mean, we've gone a bit longer than usual. So to end positively, positively.
I love it, mate. It just lets me get things off my chest. I think it's more therapy for me.
To end positively, I thought Carson Wentz was better than average in that game. People could talk about the stupid interception in overtime and the screen interception, but he also made some Madden-like Patrick Mahomes type plays where if it was a media quarterback doing it, CBS would be crowning him the king. King
fuck
Carson. Fuck CBS and their blatantly biased commentary.
I just don't think. I don't think it's biased. I just don't think they had the knowledge of either team.
No, did you hear him? They talked about Rigoberto Sanchez taking kickoffs because Badgley's a bad kicker.
Yeah,
Sanchez has taken kickoff since we
ever.
got him.
Yeah, because Vinatieri didn't take kickoffs.
Yeah, so and Badgley's been a bad kicker for the Colts, or wobbly, I think they said. And he's been perfect.
Someone else will pick that up in the media, and they're like, "Badgley's a bad kicker." Well, actually, no, he's actually been pretty solid for us. I think Hot Rod still get the place when he comes back, but he's been solid. But looking at positives, Carson's still trending in the right way. 4/5 of the offensive line looks good.
I think it's there or thereabouts to what it was last year.
We've got a great running game.
Yeah,
we've got an absolute stud wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Jack Doyle. We've got Bobby O. We've got Kenny Moore. We've got Rocky Sin. We've got so many pieces. But for me, the defense needs to start. It's another game where we've conceded 30 points. We just need to, if we can keep teams to within 20, we'll be winning games. But we're conceding those too many points. But I guess that's football.
It's bend and don't break, but at the minute we're just bending and breaking. And my very last point is, this is your time now, Robbie. Obviously, I can just about see your 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, no, it's getting there, mate. So Movember is coming again. By the weekend, there will be a tash. Once I've got rid of this, there will be a moustache there. Every day for November, I will be tweeting, posting across all social media, just different things from mental health to cancer, like how to check your testicles, like if you're having problems mentally, the different outlets you can find. I think tomorrow we're going to be looking at seasonal disorder, that sad, where it obviously comes darker in the mornings, darker in the evenings, and a lot of people start struggling. So there's going to be a post tomorrow specifically just about that and how people can cope with it if they're struggling. And really just every day, just in November, I'm putting towards just making awareness of how we can support each other and look after each other better, and especially when it comes to mental health.
I think that ties it in nicely, especially with the Kick the Stigma campaign the Colts are running heavy this year. So anyone who's watching or going to watch or just, or follows me or Robbie or sees the tweets, donate money, you tight pricks.
Yeah, we've put £1,000 on it and we're at 450 already, and that's day 2.
Wow.
But obviously that goes towards Movember. Movember, they don't just, originally it was just looking at testicular cancer, whereas now it's the whole spectrum. From different mental health charities, they do a hell of a lot towards supporting us as men, and the whole thing kicking the stigma is it's okay to talk about it, and the only way, if you are struggling mentally, is to seek help and actually start talking about it and putting things in place so you don't go down that rabbit hole of thinking that maybe life would be better without you in it, because that's not where anyone should be, and there's so much help out there now. And the thought of if any of my friends or family were going through that and they couldn't reach out, I'd be absolutely distraught. So if there is anyone out there, if you're struggling, just want to chat, slide into the DMs anytime. It's not a problem.
If you saw what Blue the mascot was doing,
see him banging his head off the.
If you feel like that, message
to someone. Yeah, just talk to someone. I'd always say there's so many free outlets out there that you can call and be put in the right situation. Life's too short to be letting the things kind of get on top of you and letting that grey sky come.
Mm-hmm. There's always a blue lining in the Colts world.
Yes, there is.
But anyway, that's a show. We've gone a little bit over than we usually do. We love talking football, like we said. 12-5. You heard it here first. The mission remains the same.
12-5, mate. I'm going to run to the bookies now.
Yeah, the mission remains the same, and 3 Lombardis in the next 9 years. See you all later.
Can't wait. See you later, bud.